This video was made in collaboration with Rosetta Stone. There I was, having just walked out of a regular movie showing, and then I just saw this. It felt so surreal. Why was this here? It wasn't in a corner, it was in full view at a regular franchise theater. It was like, what? We've been getting so many frequent anime film releases, even for more niche ones, that it's a bit mind-blowing. Streaming has become such an expected part of our everyday lives, and through streaming, anime has become much more accessible and widespread than it used to be. And while anime series have become this accessible, anime films have not. They're nowhere near as immediate, they take a few months to come out, which might feel like an eternity in internet years. This is all mainly because the licensing for them works in a completely different way, especially since they spend a longer time in theaters in Japan, so the process overall just takes much longer. But if we put it in perspective, it used to take significantly longer for anime films to be released overseas, and they would only come out in a few select showings at like faraway indie theaters. It's just that now we're so used to getting all of these series so quickly and often simultaneously as Japan, that getting frequent anime movie releases may not seem like a big deal. But when you see news of the latest Dragon Ball Super movie just having had the widest release ever for an anime movie in the past year, or One Piece Film Red lighting up one of the world's most visited tourist destinations, or even just a film for an anime that's nowhere near as big as the previous two, being casually advertised next to mainstream big budget movies, then it is a big deal. Anime movies becoming so visible in our normal lives, especially in such a universal place such as the movie theater, is both amazing in showing how far anime has come, but even more so that it's slowly becoming accepted as a regular part of our pop culture. Personally, I've always felt really mixed on anime films as a whole, so I probably wouldn't have thought much of this either, especially now that we can conveniently stream just about everything from home and save money. The theater would be like the last thing on my mind, but recently I realized that being able to watch so many shows whenever I wanted made me start seeing anime as just content to be consumed rather than an experience. That's the part I felt like I was missing out on. I wasn't really able to appreciate all of these smaller details or even taking the time to appreciate the intent behind them. I'll give you an example. As much as I love Evangelion, when the last movie, 3.0 plus 1.0, just came out in theaters about a month ago, I had no inclination to watch it whatsoever because I already saw it on Prime and could watch it whenever I wanted. What would really be different? But what convinced me was that quintessential quintuplets poster. That's when it really dawned on me how far we'd come with anime and how much of a privilege this kind of was. In that moment, I flashed back to this scene in the end of Evangelion where it shows a real-life theater with an audience in it, and then it just goes empty. I always thought about how impactful it would have been to just see what was intended to be a reflection of yourself on screen if you were part of that initial theater audience going in blind. And that's the thing, it would never be able to land for me in the exact same way because it was intended to be seen in the theater. So even though I knew there wasn't a scene like that in this latest movie, I went in with the mindset to just take everything in as it was intended. And I was blown away because I was able to feel so immersed. This is what I found that I had been taking for granted. The level of immersion that a theater can give you, especially when watching such a visual medium that's making full use of the giant screen. So many smaller and more subtle details that I barely noticed before were able to come to life. And yes, it's still the story at the end of the day that is supposed to do the heavy lifting of immersing you, not just some lighting in the room, because once you are hooked on a good story, it won't matter if it's on 480p or split into 20 parts between two different platforms, speaking from experience. Once we're absorbed, we just want to get to the end. Visuals and ambience be damned. But with anime, the storytelling is also in the visuals. It's in the theater where I realized that these visuals, and by extension the medium, can most shine. Like with the Eva movie, I couldn't appreciate how beautiful or grand so many of its scenes looked, like the ones in this part of the movie, or even this one. And mind you, this is from like the trailer, so I'm not really spoiling anything, or at least not anything major. Admittedly, this part wasn't too much fun watching with subtitles. For the first time ever, I tried to look up if there was a dub showing. Blasphemy, I know. But if I was actually proficient in Japanese, then this would be a non-issue, which is why I actually started trying to learn it again in order to enhance my immersion with shows. I realized that a lot of the times when I'm watching, I'm paying too much attention to the subtitles and not noticing little details. And funny enough, the biggest roadblock way back when I started learning was immersion. Not having regular opportunities in my everyday life to practice what I learned and really feel immersed in the culture was what really killed my progress. That's why I picked up Rosetta Stone, because of its immersive
Bingo. Bingo.
an intuitive interface that makes you jump right into the language without needing to give you too many explanations that can sometimes really slow down the learning process. So if you've always wanted to learn Japanese and just want to be able to dive in without worrying about where to start, then I highly recommend getting the Rosetta Stone lifetime subscription, which is practically a steal when it offers so many languages that you can easily switch between. And when you pair that with my exclusive discount located through the link in the description, that brings down the original $299 price tag to only $179. Besides immersion, I think one of the more interesting things about seeing anime and seeing it so much now in theaters is that it's kind of breaking down that cultural divide we've had with Japan, because when it comes right down to it, sure, we've had streaming that gives us that sense of immediate gratification, and we get to watch all these shows pretty much at the same time they're released in Japan, so it's kind of killed that lag time that the fandom used to feel in the past, and that divide between us and Japan, who's really the target audience for all of these anime. We're just kind of getting it secondhand, and now it's going to start shifting to more of a global audience. Not completely, but possibly over the time. The only difference now is Japan still gets certain exclusive events and other things, but that may be coming over to the West in the future. Still a while's off, but I think movies are a step in that direction, because when you break it down, the only difference is really going to come down to the actual language, the language barrier, because at the end of the day, we still need subtitles to understand, what's going on in anime, because we don't know the language, and we're not going to understand the finer nuances of certain cultural things unless we look it up, or it's explained, or the localization team does a really good job of it. So, that's kind of one of the things that is interesting to see how that might shift if the target audience shifts. Will something be lost as anime becomes more of a global product rather than a specifically Japanese product? Or will that just be something that leads to more universal storytelling? I feel like that's just, we're really living in very interesting times to kind of see all of this unfold, see how anime can kind of fuse with Western influences and to see what they'll create. Sure, we've had a few titles in the past that have done that, but I feel like movies are the most significant sign of this, because movies don't follow that immediate streaming schedule, but maybe there will be more committees and more movies that'll be part of the process from the beginning in Japan and have them be released worldwide all at once. It'd be interesting to see. It'd also be interesting to see if Hollywood ever collaborates directly with Japan to create some of these movies. I don't know, I kind of also shudder at that thought. But the reality is that anime is on its way to becoming part of the norm, that maybe one day we won't even bat an eyelash to a ton of movies coming out all at the same time, and maybe even simultaneously, unless theaters die. Worldwide releases will become the standard, and the thought of all of that is, if I'm being honest, both exciting and scary. As you grow in the fandom and see it become exponentially larger, this thing that always felt so personal to you and that you could only share with a select number of people that are immersed enough in it to really get it, becomes something that everyone around you starts to have an opinion on. And that can feel like it has the potential to threaten to drown out your own special bond with the medium. But the prevailing feeling that I'm going to go with, because really, we're always going to feel a mix of emotions, but it's about the one that trumps the rest, and that feeling is that it's really fucking cool that I can just walk around and casually see an anime movie being advertised as part of the norm. It's not something that will no longer need a whole frame of reference to explain to people. You could just point to the ad and be like, well, I'm watching this new movie, and that can easily start a conversation. Catching anime movies can feel like more of an actual event that you can share with people and easily get them to come with you. Sorry to that one friend that I dragged to a bunch of anime movies with very little context. I hope you had a good time. Rather than something you're waiting around for to be available online and then you just kind of watch and then it's done. What's also fun is the conversation around the experience you can have going to see it together with other people. Like as your friends are questioning why you took them to see this Heaven's Feel movie, someone just starts snoring loudly right in front of you. And then you kind of wonder, maybe this wasn't a good idea. Or some dumb inside joke that makes you break out together in laughter at scenes that normally aren't meant to make you laugh. Okay, that's definitely not immersive, but it'll open the door to more memorable moments because we'll just casually be able to go. And that's crazy. And right now, having the privilege to see all these movies in the intended setting is able to make me appreciate them differently. Because like I said, anime inherently is a visual medium, and because it's so visual, it can do much more in bringing our imagination to life that live action, I find, still has some limitations with. So anime allows for more of that creativity and self-expression, and that's why I also want to appreciate the strengths of what it can do as a medium. From now on, I want to watch more anime films through that lens. So I definitely plan to be on the lookout for more anime movies coming out this year. Especially the new Makoto Shinkai movie. No matter which way you lean with Shinkai, whether you love him or hate him, I'm still interested to see what he does with this next movie, even though it's about a chair. So if you haven't done so already, go catch an anime movie in theaters, like the new Slime movie, which I think just came out or is about to come out, or the new Sword Art, which I hear is going to adapt what many consider to be the best version of Sword Art. I'm gonna have to see that to confirm. Either way, get out there and see how the experience feels for you. For me, so far, it's been pretty refreshing. But let me know what you guys think. Have you watched any other anime movies? What are some of your favorites that have shown in theaters? Did you also feel that enhancement of being able to watch the visuals on screen and kind of being taken more into it than if you watched it at home? Do you kind of completely disagree and feel like there's no difference for you? I totally get it as someone kind of that just flips through pages. This whole like appreciating landscapes thing and sort of getting into the scenic shots, this is new for me. I used to be the guy that kind of flipped through all these pages and only cared about the plot. Like I just wanted to get to the action, to the meat of the story. I just wanted to get to the action. And now I'm kind of like, oh, the art and the beauty of it, and that's cool too. That has its merits too. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Besides that, I'm OniMaru, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Ciao.